So apparently me and millions of other Americans have a very nasty winter storm heading their way. And we're talking about inches of ice and feet of snow. Now, depending on who you watch for your weather updates, the YouTubers and TikTokers, they're saying that we're gonna get anywhere between 1 and 500 inches of snow. And then my local news stations, well, they're just like, we don't wanna put a number to it. It'll be all right. Either or, we got something nasty coming, and today I have to prep, and I'm gonna take you with me. Come on. So what exactly do I mean by prep? Well, I want to keep my power on. I want to keep my phones and my laptops charged. And today we're going to talk about all the different type of power supplies that you might seriously want to look into to do the same thing for you and your family. So we're going to start from smallest to largest, and I'll tell you some of the safety things you got to watch out for. I'm basically going to tell you everything you need to know about small power equipment, large generators, and how to use them safely. All right, first up, let's talk about small battery chargers. Something's gonna keep your phone going, maybe your laptop, something's a little bit cheaper that you can find pretty much in any local hardware store. Oh, by the way, I'll put chapters on here, so if you don't like these, but you wanna see something a little bit bigger, a little bit more powerful, well, you could just jump around a little bit if you want. Now, in front of me, we have very small chargers. These things are great for charging up your phones in case of emergencies. Now, I have DeWalts, I have Ryobis, but there are a ton of different brands out on the market. I mean, you can go to Walmart and pick something up if you wanted to, but something like this that you would find at a Home Depot or a Lowe's might be a little bit more robust, and a little bit more heavy duty. But again, long story short, these things here are battery banks, and you can see this has a C port over here. It got a USB port over here. This one here is pretty cool. This is the new one from Ryobi, and it takes the 4 volts. You put 3 of them in here. And what's nice about this is a little bit larger. You can probably charge your phone up a couple times. And a step up from something like this is something like this. It's the Ryobi. You do have a 12-volt outlet over here, and you got the USBs, and then you have a C port over here, and this would take a Ryobi battery, which this will give you a little bit more runtime than something like this. Now again, these type of chargers and battery banks, they are great for keeping your phone charged up in case you need to make an emergency call. However, it's limited. You're not going to be able to run lights or heat off of something like this, so remember that before you buy one. Oh, and by the way, just a friendly reminder, I'm not saying that anybody's not going to do this, but in case you forget, make sure that these are fully charged before the storm comes so you have them ready to go. Now, the next step up from something like that, well, it's a big step. You can go with something like this. Now, a lot of people probably are not going to go this route, but if you're already in a battery platform like Ryobi, Milwaukee, DeWalt, a lot of these companies have systems like this. Now, depending on the brand that you're already in, you can buy these bigger or smaller, more power or less power. But there is definitely a benefit to something like this over going out and buying a new Anker or a Bluetti. You see my best friend forever, this is basically a shell with the power inverter inside. You see, the reason why the Bluettis and the Ankers and all those are so expensive is because, well, you got to purchase the battery that comes inside of those as well. But if you're already sort of brand loyal and you have maybe an Ego or, like I said, the Ryobi, this one here, or whatever you're using, well, now you already have the 18 volts, and that might bring the price down on that unit compared to going out and buying everything all in one bundle. Now, what's kind of cool about this system is that you don't need 100 different 18 volts to run this thing. You can put a couple in there, and the more you put in, the more power or output you're going to get. You can see you got the LED screen. You have different outlets over here. You can actually charge this with solar if you wanted to. Has a C port over here. And what's cool about it is you have safety lights as well. So if I needed a light in the darkness, because it's spooky and scary, or if you needed a hazard light, it also has that. Now again, this is the Ryobi, but every major tool brand pretty much has something like this. So if you're already invested in a tool battery lineup, that might be the way to go, because now you don't have to spend the extra money on one of the other units because you need that internal battery. You can just use the ones that you already have. It is so very cold out right now. So this is the next progression upward. So this is a dedicated power supply, battery powered solar charger. And there's a couple different brands. Sorry, it's very windy. There's a couple different brands out there that I really trust. There's Bluetti, there's Anker, but those are my favorite top brands, but there's a lot other out there on the market. So this is a smaller unit. This is great for charging up your laptops, running TVs, your phones, all that good stuff. You got a barrel plug up here. It's very windy. I feel that I am risking my life for you doing this video right now. You got the barrel plug up on top. You got a 12 volt over here. You got your outlets over here. You got your USBs, and you got a 100 watt out C port right here. Plus up on top, you got a wireless charging pad. It's not very fast, it's only 15 watts, but still. But there's one thing that makes these type of units stand out over top of all the other units, even the ones that I just showed you, the solar power and the intake that these things can handle. Not only can these type of units put out massive amounts of power, you have a Bluetooth app that you can run this thing. It connects to Wi-Fi, but you can also charge these up using your AC outlet or a gas generator to recharge this for maybe a neighbor or a friend. But a lot of these units offer a crazy amount of solar intake. I'm talking up to like 1,500 watts in, which is very, very powerful. Which now brings us to these type of power supplies. Now, these here are absolute monsters. These are the Anker SOLIX, and they're portable power stations with a lot more power out, a lot more power in. You can see I have a few of these big boys, and I have full videos on there, so I'm not gonna break it down that way for you. If you wanna check those out, you can check those out. But these right here, you can power an entire house with these units, and I showed you how to do that in that video. This will give you hours and hours and hours of runtime. You can use an endless switch going into your home and then power your furnace, your hot water tank, your freezers, or whatever you want to power. And the best part about it is you can recharge these not only using a generator very quickly, but you can also charge these up very quickly with solar panels. So if you do live in an area where the storm comes through, like in the south, and then all of a sudden the next day the sun's out, well, you can recharge these using up your solar panels instead of having to worry about plugging these things in and recharging them. And the really cool thing about these is that you can add battery expansion packs to these, so you can make these systems as big as you want them to be. You can see up on top, right, yeah, that is a battery expansion pack. I could put 6 of those on there if I wanted to and get days of runtime with this unit. Now, with a very powerful system comes a very powerful price tag, so it really depends on what you're looking to do with these type of systems. But if you have a power outage, yeah, this is a great way to go. Just remember though, you have to consume energy, consume only what you need. Try to not run the dishwasher, the washer, the dryer, the microwave if you can. But here's another thing that I need to talk to you about when it comes to these units compared to a gas unit. These are safe to run in the house. You can put them in your living room, you can run your television, you can plug stuff directly into that if you wanted to using extension cords, but you don't have to worry about carbon monoxide taking you out while you're sleeping. I can't say that about this one here. All right, this is what a lot of people probably want to see. This is the big boy, this is the gas inverter. It's a generator. Now, there's a couple things you want to look for when you're looking for a generator slash inverter. This is the Harbor Freight one, and I will tell you now, if you're thinking about getting one of these for the storm, go get it today, because these things usually sell out fairly quickly when people see that there's a lot of snow and ice coming. Now, there was one issue with this. It was the on-off start button, the electric start on this. The switch was faulty on a lot of these different units. We talked about it. I purchased a new switch on Amazon, fixed it within about a half an hour, and it was ready to go again. Now, the big difference between the ones I showed you and something like this is that this runs off of gas. A lot of them have propane, gas. They have like a multi-fuel type of system. This one here is just strictly gas, so it's easy to use. Now, this thing is pretty heavy, but it does have handles and it's pretty easy to get around. Now, the nice thing, again, about this generator is all you have to do is put gas in it and it will run as long as you need it to run. The bad thing about it is something that a lot of people are gonna end up doing this year, and I don't understand why. They're gonna put this in their house or in their garage, and they're gonna shut the doors, and they're gonna end up with carbon monoxide poisoning, and bad things are gonna happen. You hear about it every single year. You cannot run anything that is combustible inside your building unless you have ventilation pushing out those bad gases. Now, having a unit like this is very versatile. You can look at it a couple different ways. Number one is you can use this for your main power supply. You can just plug things directly in the front using an extension cord like lights, TVs, whatever you need to do. Wow, it is really windy out there. Don't worry, I'm prepared. We're gonna get prepared together. Or number two, you can use this unit. If you don't want to hear this thing running all night, even though this is a quiet, if you don't want this thing running at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you can go charge up those electric generators like I just showed you with this and then shut this down and conserve the gas. Yeah, run those for a few hours, and then when they need recharge, just recharge it with that so you don't have to stay up all night listening to this thing go. Or again, you can plug this directly into your endless switch, and there's many videos on how to safely use those. But yeah, you can power your house with this entire unit. And what's nice about it is you don't have to worry about the charge running out and not being able to recharge it. You can run your dishwasher, your stoves, you can run your microwaves. Whatever you need to run, this will run it. Now, of course, you want to look at the specs of your generator. That's a 9500, so that's a pretty big one. But if you want something like a 4500, 3500, 2500, well, it depends on the size of your unit and how much you're able to get out of that unit at the same time. So make sure you look at the specs and how big your generator is. Just real quick, if you plug this generator into your house, it might get, what, 6,500 watts, 9,500 watts, whatever. If you're pulling over 10,000 watts, it's gonna trip your breakers on that. So meaning, don't run all of your stuff at the same time. Keep your lights on, keep your heat on, but try not to run the microwaves. Try not to run the heaters and the dishwashers and such. Now, the good thing about the battery power stuff is that there's really no prep. You just have to make sure that they were plugged in and charged before the storm and the power goes out. There's something different with this. So there's gas and oil in these generators. Number one, when it's really cold like it has been, the oil might gunk up a little bit. Starts turning into like a molasses, starts getting slow. So an oil light might pop up on this thing here. So if you can see I have my heater over here. Try to warm this thing up a little bit before you start it so you don't damage anything. I'm just saying, try to keep it above freezing because you don't want this thing all gunked up and not wanting to start for you. Number two, make sure you have the fuel for this. If you have a gas can, go fill up your gas can before the storm hits. That's what I have to do today. It already has gas, but I need to make sure this thing starts before the winter storm. And how I do that is prep. Every month I come out here and start this and run it for about 30 minutes to make sure that it is ready to go when I need it, because there is a battery in here. Now, there are pull starts on here. You don't need the power start. That right here is the pull, but I don't like doing that all the time. If I have a power start, I want to use the power start. Now, I haven't had this thing started for, well, a month, and it's been very cold, and that power start runs off of a battery. So I need to make sure that this thing is going to crank. So on the back side here, you can see the exhaust. You see that? So I'm going to blow this outside, because what's going to happen is, when I start this up, because it hasn't started for a few weeks anyway, and it's been cold, this thing's gonna be kicking out a lot of black gunk, black smoke. So I'm gonna blow it outside so I don't breathe that stuff in. Now, a couple of nights ago, it went down to like 1 degree and then -20 with the wind chill. So if this thing doesn't start right up, I'm not gonna be surprised. It has nothing to do with the brand. It just has to do with it being very cold outside. So I'm gonna start. You're probably gonna hear this thing crank over a little bit. Probably gonna have to attempt it a couple times, we'll see. But I got my choke on. I got my power start on, and I think we're ready to go. There we go. So let the choke run a little bit. You can see it's kicking out that black gook. And this is what you're gonna have to deal with when you have the gas generator. The electric power stations, you don't have to deal with any of that. You just have to make sure that they have power in them. So now we're gonna kick this on full. Now there's a high and a low to this. This is pretty cool. If you don't need a high load, you just put this on eco mode. It's gonna save you some gas. But if I need all of my power, if I'm running everything in the house, I can kick this on high. So let this run for a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. Now, there's a couple more things I want to talk to you about these gas generators, but you can see here is my inlet switch. This goes into my main feed in the house, and I can plug the solar, like I showed you, into that and run the house, or I can plug that directly in to my house and backfeed my entire house. But there's a safe way to do that. Make sure you watch videos. You have to have a kill switch and all that stuff before you put something like this into your house. You don't want to backfeed those lines and then hurt somebody that's working on those lines. You want to make sure that you're only backfeeding your panel, and that's it. Now, a couple more things I want to point out. Number one is we're about 100 feet away from the unit right now, and you can hear it. If you have this thing running full bore at 4 o'clock in the morning, you might get a neighbor that complains about the noise. I mean, I say, who cares if you have a power outage? I mean, it is what it is, right? I'd rather keep warm and then deal with them later. But I'm just saying, this is not the most quiet option. Even though that's a quiet generator, there are some that are much, much louder. Now, again, that's running full bore. I don't have that on eco mode. I'm just letting you know, when you're shopping for a unit, make sure that you try to find one that's not crazy, crazy loud. And again, just to give you an idea, this is full bore, that's eco mode. So if you put it outside like this on eco mode on this unit, nobody's really gonna complain about it. And now we're just gonna shut it off like such. Now, another thing that you really need to be aware of before you buy a generator or an inverter and all that stuff is it going to damage your electronics? What a lot of people don't know is that an inverter, they're very safe when it comes to charging your cell phones, running your computers, charging your laptops, and all that good stuff. Because what happens on a regular generator sometimes is there's fluctuations. I have a whole video explaining that. I'm not going to get into it too deeply here on this video. You just need to make sure that when you buy a battery power unit, which pretty much all of them do have like the pure sine wave and stuff, they're not going to damage your electronics or your computer or anything in your house. A regular gas generator, not an inverter, a regular gas generator might fluctuate and damage those electronics. And just to be very clear, this one here, the Predator, it will not, or it shouldn't. Now there is one other thing that I want to talk to you about, and that is there are some people that are strictly in the gas and propane camp, and then there's other people that only want to deal with electric battery backups. I say these things complement each other perfectly. So for example, if I wanted to power my house, yeah, I could do that using the battery solar generators, but they're gonna run out of power eventually. Unless I have clear blue skies, which we don't in this area of the country, I'm not gonna be able to recharge that because I'm not gonna have power on my house, I'm not gonna be able to plug it in, and I probably won't be able to charge out with the solar. This, I could run my house for days and days and weeks if I wanted to, but I don't wanna hear it for 24 hours straight. It's sort of noisy. So what I do is I charge those using this. I only have to listen to this run for an hour or so because those charge up very, very quickly. And then I just use them to run my house again. So they complement each other. I don't have to hear this all night. That right there is safe to use, and it's a win-win. However, I will state this. If I had to go with one of them, battery backup or this right here, I would still choose this because I don't have enough expansion batteries. If you have expansion batteries and you have solar panels that are plugged into those things, that would be the way to go. But in my area, my situation, because it's always cloudy in Ohio for like 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year, sometimes 9 months out of the year, this would be the way I would go if I had to choose. But again, please remember, because I know I'm going to hear this online, share this video out, do whatever you need to do, call up a friend, call up a family member. Never ever run anything that has combustible gas or fuel in a closed area for a period of time. These things are not meant to be ran indoors with the doors closed. A lot of people will put these in the garage and put their garage doors down, shut the garage doors. It can still seep into your bedroom while you're sleeping. A lot of people will bring these in the house. I just still don't understand how people don't know this, but they don't. So please never run these indoors without proper ventilation. The battery powered ones, you're fine. You can sleep right next to them. You won't even hear them. They're super quiet. But these right here, just leave them outdoors if you can. So I'm curious to know which way you're going to go for this storm. Do you think gas is the only way to go, or do you like sort of the combo system, or do you strictly like the solar stuff? Love hearing that sweet feedback in the comment section below. If this video helped, smash the like button, share this out, get subscribed, hit the bell notification. Check this video out right here. We'll be back with more videos soon.